I'm so excited that Gina and I are actually doing this. This is so exciting.
I'm excited too.
And as I said, or as like Gina actually said, the writer edition academic misfit has started. I've been thinking about starting a podcast looking at like academic misfits, which for me is really about people who are underrepresented in academia, or their values are underrepresented in academia, or their skills are underrepresented or undervalued in academia. It's really just like a feeling, and sometimes that feeling is imposter syndrome or imposter phenomena, and we know a lot of that is academia making us feel like imposters a lot of times in our roles because of the way that maybe the way that we work or the way that we do our jobs or the types of jobs that we decide to do while we're in academia, and the things that we prioritize are maybe not what they've wanted us to really do or what we get rewarded for, right? So this is like the first time that I'm really coming out here and saying this is it. I think doing a podcast and going with the whole like what does a podcast entail is too much for me. So I really like doing it like this because then I've got a copy of the video. You all have joined us in this video. And yeah, I'm just really excited. So this time, because we know Gina in so many ways, and with all the summits that you've had and everything like that, I feel like I've known a part of you. And then as I got to know you, I knew more about different things that I didn't know about you. And I think that's incredible. So I'm so excited for you to share your story about writing. And I think the first time I went to talk to you, I was like, it's about, I would love to hear about your story about finding how your passion has helped you in what you're doing now. So yeah, what is your passion? Tell us about your passion, where it came from.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Luna, for having me. And yes, I also feel like I know a little bit about you too. It's been a wonderful experience moving from academia into business coaching and writing coaching because I get to meet all these fabulous academic women. So that's been just one of the wonderful things. But anyway, I actually have a PowerPoint, but we couldn't figure out how to get everything to work. And we were so happy that we got the video working that forget the PowerPoint. So, but the PowerPoint keeps me on track because I'm a big talker and I need to stay on track. Basically, I remember being 12 years old. I was in sixth grade, and that was when I first started my interest in creative writing, that I wanted to write the great historical novel. And I went into the library and looked at all these reference books. Now, this is all the way back in the 60s, guys, so there was no internet. And looking at these reference books and taking notes on costumes and historical costumes so that I could write the great historical novel. But I was only 12, so I could never actually write the novel. I've written one now, but it wasn't exactly, what was my original intention. But I was a voracious reader, and I would read every single magazine I could get and tons of books, of course. And I always had a dream of being a magazine writer. In other words, writing essays for a general audience. I am a working class first gen academic. And at my high school, there was one creative writing class. I took that class. And then I started high school. I started university as a high school student in a program called Outstanding High School Seniors. And it was an experimental program for a bunch of us that were chosen to go to the University of New Haven for the final half of our senior year. And so it just seemed absolutely perfect. I was at college, but I was still able to do the senior luncheon, the senior prom, all of that. So it was like an ideal thing. And I applied for colleges like always. and I got into my dream college, and that was Trinity College in Hartford. I'm originally from Connecticut, and it was like the liberal arts dream. I fell in love with the campus as soon as I got there. But I'm a part of the baby boom. And when the financial aid package came, I got absolutely nothing. And we were basically working class people. And so I really didn't know what to do. I can't believe I did this. I was only 17. I went up there, talked to whoever, I don't even remember who, and asked them for financial aid. And I still don't believe I did this. And they said they didn't have anything. And as I left, I could see that the secretary was she was very empathetic towards me. And she said, you know, you can go to another school and transfer. A lot of people do that. And I just shook my head, thank you. And I knew that once I went to another school, I would never transfer over. I mean, that's that. So for some reason, and again, now I'm an academic and I'm amazed at this, but as a kid, I didn't know what the heck was going on. For some reason, the director of admissions liked me. And he had invited me to his home to meet his wife. Again, I don't know what it was about me. I'm just, you know, a working class Italian girl. And he said to me when I went and told him about, because he had an open door anytime I wanted to go talk to him, I could. I told him, you know, I couldn't get any financial aid, and he said to me, Gina, why go over there? Well, you'll just be one of many. Come over here, will you really shine? I'm giving you a full tuition scholarship. And of course, I'm a working class person. There's these guys that are in my house, even now, they're renovating a bathroom. I was chatting with them yesterday. What would you have done? I said, take the full tuition scholarship. I asked my working class students the same thing, take the full tuition scholarship.
Yeah.
But there was no writing major. There weren't even writing classes at the University of New Haven. So, okay. So I tried an English major, and I don't want to do literature, but I really, really loved my sociology class. And after not very much thinking, I decided to become a sociology major. And that started my life. One of the things, I have my PowerPoint here. One of the things is that I thought that the academic writing would satisfy the creative writing itch, right? So I kind of plunged myself into it. But I still did things like I was writing poetry, and I still have that poetry that I was writing up in my file. But then I read Sylvia Plath, and I just said, oh my God, I read her poem, Daddy. And I said, I can never even approach that. And I gave up my poetry writing. To this day. I say to people, because I do writing and editing and writing coaching, I can help you with anything except poetry. and anything you want. I can help 11 and 12-year-olds, because I have 6 years of experience volunteering at a writing center in junior and senior high. And I can go all the way up to academic writing, but I can't help with poetry. But I used to write tons of poetry. And the other thing is, as an adult, I just learned about one in 2024, but the other one I learned about maybe 2016. Two people that I knew in college that I helped with writing attribute them getting their bachelor's degree because of my help. I think they did it more on their own. I think that was more of the catalyst, but that is exactly how they felt about me. And I am, very grateful to them. But I've always had that knack of helping people succeed. And that's what I feel that I do now.
Yeah.
Help people succeed. So I eventually go to graduate school in Syracuse University,
Was that
and
in
I plunged.
sociology then? So
Right, yeah, I'm getting a PhD in sociology, I plunged right into academic writing, and I started reading everything I could on academic writing. Now, again, there's still no internet. I remember going to a workshop where we had to learn how to turn the computer on. So it was Stone Ages. But there was various people that were writing about academic writing, and I worked really, really hard at it. And actually, the best compliment that I received at the end of my dissertation defense was, "It is a well-written dissertation," and I was like so happy about that. You
Were
know,
you interested in the acts of writing, like how poetry differed from like, creative writing and fiction to like academic writing? Did you like study academic writing as like, what form of writing is this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was what I was doing. Because again, I took one creative writing class, and I'm basically a self-taught writer. I mean, I never stopped studying. And yes, academic writing, my first attempts at academic writing were really awful. I remember submitting an article for publication and not even getting to the reviewers. But you just sit and focus on, you read what they're writing, and then you try to adapt your style to what they have. And so that's what I did. And I remember very early on too that, and this is of course why Sylvia Plath was a better poet than me, is that you have to read in order to write. And so that was something that I learned very early on. In order to write, you got to read a lot, and then you'll have more to say. And and so and so anyway, that was one thing that I learned. I did get a couple of publications before I got the PhD, which helped me get my first jobs. But I started developing an aversion to the academic writing process. And of course, it is the fabled reviewer too, right? That you get this just mean critique. And I had never gotten that kind of mean, reaction to my writing. But the other thing also, when my very first institution was a small rural liberal arts school, and people resented my writing. And I'm talking about, the old white male cabal, the people that had run things for 20 years, right? The people that felt that they deserved their position in the school, and that I was basically supposed to sit at their feet. And many of them had not written an academic article in decades, and some of them not at all. And here I am, along with other women that were coming in at the same time. We had a president that was trying to diversify the faculty. We're all writing actual academic articles. And this caused a lot of jealousy, and it also caused my department chair to start persecuting me. And so it's very weird, but I'm associating this writing with the problems that I'm having. And I actually didn't write for 2 years until I finally got out of that institution and went to a new one. When I got to the new one, essentially all you needed was 4 refereed articles in order to get full. I think you needed 2 to get promoted to associate, another 2 to get promoted to full. So I'm not getting a whole lot of push to write a lot of academic articles. And then I actually don't have this in my PowerPoint, but I'll be talking about it later. I wrote an essay called Motherhood at 45. I got pregnant just before I was going up for associate. And I did get associate, but I did not want to raise my son there. So I went back for 2 years, and I wasn't even thinking about full at that point. And then I got a job as a contingent faculty, a continuing 1-year position at the institution I retired from, which was Miami University of Ohio. So yeah, so now now I'm contingent. So nobody cares about tenure, promotion. I was basically left alone. And so what am I doing? I'm taking creative writing classes. I went to the Antioch Writers Workshop. I went to the Irma Brombeck Writers Workshop. These are local writing workshops. I joined Women Writing for a Change, which is kind of like a feminist-based writing group, right? I'm doing all of this, reading voraciously, getting a lot of critique on my writing, which of course is key. And then at Miami, there was a lot of uh, professional development, and there was one class on teaching writing, so I took that, and every single publication seminar I could go to, I went to. So it was very eclectic. It was academic writing, but also creative writing. The local recreation center had a publication series, how to publish your creative stuff. So everything that I can take, because nobody cared about me. I was contingent,
Yeah.
right?
So did
You
your
know, and
so Gina, did your
yeah, go
network
ahead.
kind of expand from that, from taking all these courses? Do you feel like you got like a different perspective from other people that were there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I started learning more about the creative writing process and about what people expect in creative writing. And then it was just, I don't know if you guys know NaNoWriMo, but NaNoWriMo, you start writing at the November 1st and you finish November 30th, and the goal is to get 10,000 words. And so I did that 2 years. I wrote, I think I have two novels that I wrote that have never seen the light of day. But again, they were all designed to help me, get better at creative writing.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other thing that I did is I start getting interested in the postmodern critiques of academic writing. And so I actually, like a moth to a flame, right? I started writing fiction pieces that were research based. I wrote two plays where the words were the interview data that I had, with a little bit of adjustment, and I'm presenting these at conferences. And then I was autoethnography as well. And then I was president of the Association for Humanist Sociology, and my keynote address was a play. And I basically performed it. I did some readers' theater. It was really tons of fun. And then because I was the president, right, they had to publish it. So I have a play. I have a play. And the interview data were people that were part of the beginning of the Association for Humanist Sociology, the first 5 years. And so I talked about the origins of that organization, and I pointed out a forgotten woman founder, and they still forgot her. I mean, to this day, they've forgotten her, right? They have this apocryphal story that Alfred McClung Lee and Betty Lee, who were the founders of the Society for the Study of Social Problems, got disenchanted and started the Association for Humanist Sociology, but that isn't true. That there were two faculty members actually at Miami University, a man and a woman, names that you wouldn't know, and I forgot both of their names, Chuck and Ann. Chuck and Ann. I wasn't prepared to talk about it, but they were the people that wanted to start this organization, and I actually got access to archival information that nobody had ever seen. And I also interviewed some people that were there and said that the Association for Humanist Sociology was started over a kitchen table, and it was the two people and Alfred and Betty Lee, and they were the ones that started it, but they were using the organizational skills of Alfred McClung Lee and Betty Lee to get going. And that is the real story, which is in my play.
You
And
think the
when I
play
performed,
would be like a way to jog their memory, like
and when I performed it, I had a kitchen table with two chairs that were set, and the other two chairs that were kind of like diagonal on the table. And when I finished that act, that was Act One. I set the chairs in place so that we had the 4 founders of the association, and it was great. It was just
What was the
great.
reception of these ways, alternative ways of delivering information?
Yes. Well, they gave me a standing ovation, but some of it was because I was talking about them, so they were really happy that I was talking about them. But I did this little shtick where I played Chuck, who was a very earnest, progressive, and he had one of the AHS meetings at a youth hostel. And so I have him giving this little announcement that next year we're going to be at such and such youth hostel, and the fees are like $20 for double, $10 for quadruple. The bathroom is down the hall, and breakfast is at 6:30 and lunch is at 11:30 sharp, right? And, it was just awful. And then then I had the shill in the audience, and that person said, "Will there be any TV?" And then I say, as Chuck, right? I say, "TV? Of course not." And then everybody started pelting me with paper, like, boo, they have these papers, they're pelting me, right? And then one of the people that was actually there, he said, because now the act is over, he said out loud in front of everybody, "That was the worst conference I ever attended." We're supposed to be humanists, right? I mean, why wouldn't we be at a youth hostel? It was great.
But
It was great. It was great. And
what year
many of
was
those
that?
people,
What, like, I'm so curious. What year was?
it was 2008, I think.
Okay, okay.
And many of those people that participated have passed away. The person who said, "Will there be any TV?" The guy who said that was the worst conference, So I had interviewed them towards the end of their careers, and it was just so much fun. It was just so much fun. I mean, what am I going to do? Stand up there and give a keynote address?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to perform a play.
I feel like there's so many times that I've done that too, where I've just been like, I don't want to do another psychology study that is a bunch of surveys. Like, I'm going to put people on a roller coaster using virtual reality, and that is going to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so now I'm at Miami, and it was 2020. It's COVID time. I have to take a drink.
That reminds me. And lots of people are joining, so thank you for joining.
Hi, everybody.
April said she's glad to join us. So, yeah, and other people are just watching. So, thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're all here. So now it is COVID time, and my position was called a 75% part-time position. It was a continuing 1-year position, and I was not the only person there that had that type of position. And the new provost came, and he was grumbling about these 75% part-time positions. There was a couple of reasons why. The first is that we were getting raises and we were getting benefits. And the reason why we were getting benefits is because of Obamacare. So the original idea was put these people at 75% and then just give them this, minuscule salary, and then we don't have to pay benefits. But then Obamacare came in, and then they had no choice. And that, we were continuing. And then there was tons of VAPs. I mean, they just relied on VAPs. And my position, actually, the 75% position, I was slotted into after a tenured full retired. And so that was when it was about 2005, 2006. That was when I noticed that the academic job market had changed. And then now I do business coaching for academic women who want to get out of academia and start their own side business. And so that's what I do now because of what happened here. That 150 people in one day were fired. And we weren't fired, our positions were terminated, right? And it was on Good Friday. And of course, it was on Good Friday because they figured that, Easter holiday, everybody will be busy, nobody will tell anybody. But I was actually on a co-writing session with the writing center. And once I got the telephone call, I went back to the co-writing session, and I told everybody I have just been terminated. And they were stunned. And then, of course, I'm sure that the word just, you don't terminate 150 people and not have everybody know. And so we used COVID as an excuse, but nobody believed them. I mean, they continued to be in the black. They didn't have any problem. And their football coach, who was doing nothing, was making $500,000, and nobody said anything about him, right? So then what happened is all leaves are canceled. Everybody has a full load. If you don't like it, there's the door. And long story short, Miami University faculty are now unionized. And the provost is gone, probably doing his destruction some other place. And that got my social justice dander up. I'm like absolutely furious. I'm looking at Ohio State, Kent State, the Ohio University, all over the country, all over the world. People are losing their academic positions, and it just has been bleeding and bleeding and bleeding ever since. And so what I did was I started my business, Writing Your Way, which I'm a writing coach and I do editing and all of that kind of thing. I actually love editing. And one of the things I love the most about my writing process is the editing process. So I love to edit. I just, I can't wait to get started editing on something. And so that was my very first business. But then I said, I'm going to start Academic Women Reclaim Your Power because of the fact that that I'm watching all of these people be screwed over. And then what happened to me was they waited 6 months and then they offered me 2 adjunct positions. I can't believe it. It's like, if you needed me to teach, why didn't you keep me on? What are you doing coming back and telling me you want me to teach 2 adjunct positions? And then I said, okay, well, I'll be willing to consider it if I can do my 2 online courses. Oh, no. No, we need you on campus. And I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And really, when you think about it, right, because we don't normally think like this, what are they offering me? If I had a 3-3 load, and that was my 75%, the normal load was 4-4, they're offering me adjunct positions at $3,000 a pop with no benefits. So if I could get 6 adjunct positions, they're offering me my old job back at $18,000. And so I said, okay, give me a day, I'll think about it. And then I sent her an email and said, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to take this.
Like in every literal sense of that word, I'm not going to take this. Like,
yeah. But there were other people that did. And one of them actually became one of my clients. And I said to her, don't you understand that as long as you are agreeing to teach your old jobs as an adjunct, they will never have a 1-year position and rehire you back. Don't you realize that? And it's amazing how people don't realize it.
One of my clients just sent me an article that I just read before we came on, and it made me like super angry, and in a good way, like you like to get angry and full of like social justice ire. It's on okdoomer.io, and it's called I'm a tenured college professor, I'm quitting, and here's why. And it's like so much about how they wanted him to do more of his job with less money and
Yeah.
adjuncts. And it's just, where's that money going to? Because a lot of times they are in the black. And yeah, I mean, I just, yeah, just echoing what you're talking about, but it is. And also that he was saying or I don't know if it's a he or she was saying that she had an extra like side job as well, and that it's almost like academia doesn't want you to have those side jobs because it is a way for you to feel empowered and say no,
Right.
I won't do that, I have this other thing. And it's almost like you have the independence and the freedom to say no to something. And what they want is people, actually what my boss said to me when I used to work at one university, she said to me, we want everyone young and hungry.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. One of my friends actually, was a lead union negotiator at a major state institution. And they were arguing in their union negotiation that faculty should no longer be evaluated by student evaluations. They should be evaluated just like everybody else, as peer evaluations. And he actually got the people at the university to say, but we need to know what the customers think.
Oh, God.
Actually got him to say it out loud. So it was a battle they lost, but they won many, many other battles. Okay, so here I am now doing Writing Your Way and helping people with their writing, and I'm really excited starting my business coaching program. Actually, my original academic Women Reclaim Your Power, I was helping people get out of academia as well as business coaching, but now I've narrowed it down to business coaching. And and then what happened was cancer. And I was diagnosed with cancer on November 1st, 2021. I left my academic position in August of 2020. And basically, I had just been a business person for about a year. And of course, anybody who starts, this is like, a really difficult time. So I was still taking on writing clients, but I no longer took on the business coaching clients because I didn't know how I was going to handle them. And, in other words, will I be able to fulfill my duties to them if I'm in cancer treatment? Like I didn't know what was going to be ahead of me. And so I did take on one client towards the end of my cancer treatment, but I had told her I was in cancer treatment. And I explained all of this to her. One of the hallmarks of my business is honesty and integrity. And because I'm a Muslim, I also don't charge interest. So if you want to work with me on time, whatever the course fee is going to be your fee. I don't charge anything else. I also don't do marketing tricks. I try to make marketing tricks like transparent to people. And that's always who I have been. And those are my values as an academic and as a businesswoman. So now let me look at my cancer thing here. Yeah. So what I did was I started working on my historical fiction novel, and I actually had given academic presentations on that. It was about my father's old neighborhood in New Haven, Connecticut that had been destroyed by redevelopment. And the purpose of the novel is to show the human impact of redevelopment. And so I had the entire manuscript done. And so, of course, I'm getting editing now, yay! And so I did a structural edit, I did line by line edit, and every time I went for an infusion, and I had to go for 13 of these, plus some liquid, they would put liquids into me, so I don't know how many infusions I had, 15, 16 infusions, and that would be the entire afternoon. I would fill my oncology nurses' ears with the latest thing I was editing. So, all these different stories from the book, I'm telling them all about, by the way, I'm editing this. And they would be like really interested. And of course, what's happening is that I'm in this other world and I'm not thinking about cancer, for the times that I'm editing, I'm thinking about this world that I'm creating, and I found tremendous solace in it. And the other thing that I did was I created a gratitude practice, and I have that up on YouTube. It's called 99 Days of Gratitude for every day for 99 days. This was towards the end of my cancer treatment, because the beginning of my cancer treatment, I was very, very ill. You can even see it when you look at day 1 of 99 Days of Gratitude. I wasn't myself. When you look at day 99, I'm like this,
Wow.
But yeah. And so I created a PowerPoint for on 99 Days of Gratitude, and that is going to be one of my new offers, is a gratitude practice. But gratitude and my historical fiction novel saved my life. But there's another part to the story, which everybody who knows me knows. I discovered the Jackson 5. Okay, so nothing gave me more solace towards the end of my cancer treatment than the Jackson 5 music. And what I discovered them through, I was looking at YouTube, and I discovered a medley that they had with Cher back in the old Cher show. It was 1974. I probably saw it in real time. And I had actually been teaching about the Jackson 5 for a while, because I was giving a talk about how whenever there is a successful Black group, there always has to be a successful white person after that. And, you have all this blues music, and then Elvis comes along. Even further than that, there was the ragtime, the jazz, and then there was this guy who was, his last name was literally White Man. And then he created this orchestral music that appealed to white people. And then the Jackson 5, and then who came after them was the Osmonds, right? And so I would show my class, not the whole videos, because we had to get going, but I would show them videos of the Jackson 5 and videos of the Osmonds. Videos of the Jackson 5 I didn't want to turn off. Videos of the Osmonds I couldn't get through. Okay. And I lived through that time, but the Osmonds do not hold up. The Jackson 5 are absolutely brilliant, just brilliant. And so I realized I'm loving them. I mean, in one of the things that I wrote, I dipped into an endless well of enchantment. I was just thrilled by them, and I knew very little about them. So as a sociologist, my major methodology is historical research and textual analysis. So I didn't realize I was doing this until I was a couple of months into it. I did a research project on the Jackson 5. Okay, so I did a historical research and textual analysis project on the Jackson 5. And I had an affinity for Jermaine Jackson. And Jermaine Jackson actually has a 14 album catalog. I haven't listened to every single song yet, and is an incredible performer. And there was something about Jermaine and his voice, even today, that if I'm upset, I turn on a Jermaine song and I'm soothed. And so what happened was I now started my creative writing career, okay? And I currently have up on Medium 5 essays about Jermaine, 1 essay on the Jackson 5, 1 essay called Motherhood at 45, which was my experience of becoming a mother at 45, 1 essay on gratitude, and it's scheduled to appear today at 12, an essay called Love Eternal, which is about the experience of instant attraction, that if you find somebody that you're instantly attracted to, what is the experience of it? And then I have like a fanciful ending. And so, yeah, this was all on my PowerPoint. I had all kinds of pictures, but yes, Gina met Marlon and Jackie Jackson. And that is Marlon holding my phone to create the selfie. Yes, that's Marla taking a selfie of me. Okay.
I have a
At
question
this,
for you from somebody.
yeah, yeah, go
What
ahead.
ways of thinking and working do creative people bring to our professional role in academia, and how can our strengths serve us as we move out of higher ed?
Okay, can you say the first part again? Just repeat
What
it.
ways of thinking and working do creative people bring to the professional role in academia, and how can these strengths serve
Yeah.
us as we move out?
Well, first of all, I think that we as academics, we have tons of strengths, but because we have been devalued and constantly criticized, we don't recognize them. And so, what I did very early on is I went to one of these uh, business people, business coaches for minority and women. It's one of the government associations, and he gave me a SWOT analysis. And that's one of the things that I would suggest that you do. It's SWOT. It's everybody knows what it is. Find one of those that is a part of the individual SWOT analysis, not a SWOT analysis of the business, and you will be really, really surprised at how many strengths you have. And then one of the things about a SWOT analysis is that you also list your weaknesses, and then you say, what can I do to strengthen those weaknesses? So, so I'm really good at writing. I'm really good at editing. I started out working with high school students, writing the Common App essay. I had 6 years of volunteer experience. That was my strength. But what was my weakness? My weakness was business. I mean, I'm a sociologist. So what did I do? I invested in business courses, right? And I didn't have that full tuition scholarship I had when I was 18. But I have an entire lifetime of working that I can use that money to invest in myself. And so that's what the SWOT analysis does, is that it helps you say, here's all the strengths, and then what can I do to bolster my weaknesses? The other little thing that I do, and I actually do this with people, is a Japanese I guess template. I guess it's called Ikigai, Ikigai. Again, known in business communities. The original idea was to find your joy, but I think that you can also use it to find your joy in what it is you want to do. And that I forget what all the four questions are, but what do you love? What can you get paid for? What problem can you solve in the world? And then when you answer all the questions, there's going to be that little circle in the middle, and that can be your product or service. And so these two things are what I teach in my coaching program, and help people decide what it is that they love to do, right? And then what it is that can be part of a business. And then also what are their strengths, and bring those strengths to bear. And one of the things that I learned in my business training is we already have all kinds of strengths, even if we're in the humanities. I mean, I was president of a national association. Maybe some people are too, or so I learned on the fly project management. I mean, I had tons of different pieces that I had to put together. One of the things that I was involved with as an academic was diversity programming, and that was my entire career. I actually got an award for that through the Midwest Sociological Society. I had a picture of myself receiving that award. I was in the middle of cancer treatment, and I had these big fat cheeks that often happen when you're on chemo, called the Jane Addams Award for Service to Women. And it was my lifetime of service to creating programming on campus that would support women, and I was always intentionally intersectional. you do all of that, you have tons of skills, right? You already know how to create a course. You already know how to speak. You already know how to do everything, that you need. I actually was doing publicity, public relations, when I would have I would have a brown bag session, or I would do, Women's History Month programming. I'm out there, telling everybody about it. And I had like this little mantra, you can never have too much publicity, right? That's of course how it is in business. So you have more strengths than you think. So those are the two I'm going to suggest: SWOT analysis. And if there is a place I can actually put links in, when we're done, because I also have my own links I'd like to share.
Yeah.
And I can put links in, and then you can find those and you can just follow them on your own. And, on behalf of Luna and me, invest in a business coach.
Yeah.
I have a business coach. I don't know, Luna, do you have a business coach?
Yeah, I currently have one.
See?
And a business program that I've just joined as well.
Yeah. I have a business coach. I also have an Instagram coach, a person who helps me with my marketing on Instagram. So
yes.
Everyone invest. It'll be the best investment that you ever take in your life.
And I saw that the way that you were talking about what the Jackson 5 and how you took your skills that you already had, your strengths that you already had, and you put them into that. And even like you were like, I don't know what this first guy sees in me and wants to give me like a scholarship and wants to give me a chance.
Yeah.
But I feel like that also happened with Jermaine.
Yeah.
Or like with the team when you were in the hotel, like there was something that people see in Gina that they're like, I need more of that. I want to talk to you longer.
Yeah. As I told Luna, because I have told people this story, I was so scared. Oh my God. Especially given the fact that I think Jackie is so handsome. And there he is standing right in front of me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm walking up to Jackie Jackson. But of course, this was not serendipitous. I said, they're going to stay at that hotel because it's right across the street from the venue. And I was going to the concert, and I said, I'm going to stay at that hotel. And then I parked myself out in the lobby, and I saw Tito Jackson walk by me, and he started talking with somebody. And I walked up to that person and I go, was that Tito Jackson? He says, yeah, they're all eating over there. They're eating in the breakfast buffet. I mean, it's like anybody eating in the breakfast buffet. So I waited for them to finish, and Tito I just met in passing, but I talked with Jackie and Marlon for maybe 15, 20 minutes. The time just seemed to stand still. And they wanted to talk with me. And what I approached them with was first of all, my Writing Your Way business cards, the fact that I've written 5 essays on Jermaine and why I wrote them, and also my cancer journey in the Jackson 5, which I was actually doing the final edits, and I posted it that afternoon. And Marlon also had cancer. And so when I walked up to Jackie and I said, Jackie, I'm coming to the concert and I want you to read these essays about Jermaine. And then I had my other card with my cancer journey and the Jackson 5 on it. And I look around, I said, where's Marlon? And Jackie Jackson says, Marlon is right over there. Marlon, come here. I'm like, I don't know how I stood on my feet, okay? I have no idea how I remained standing. I couldn't believe it. And Jackie is a very quiet person, but Marlon is outgoing, and there's Marlon, hi. And so I started telling him, blabbering, I wrote this article and it's not published yet, and I'm so grateful to you. And it's all about how grateful I am. And he says, why don't you tell me what your essay title is before you tell me what the essay is. And I was afraid to because he had cancer. And I said, my cancer journey and the Jackson Five. And that did it. Just the look on his face. He knew who I was, why I came to talk to them, and what I wanted to talk about. And the two of them were just the most wonderful people. After the concert, I got to meet TJ Jackson, who's Tito's son. And he claimed, he offered to send all the links of my Jermaine articles to Jermaine, his uncle, who he's very close to. And since then, I've also met Terrell Jackson, who is Tito's son and TJ's brother. And the three of them, Taj, Terrell, and TJ, had a pop group called 3T that was much more popular in Europe than it was here in the United States. So the other person that I have met is Asa Sultan. Asa Sultan, I haven't met her personally, but on YouTube. This is Asa Sultan. Asa Sultan is married to Jermaine Jackson Jr., and I buy clothes from her because they are hijabable, which is I wear hijab. She has caftans and all kinds of things, really, really cool clothes that I like a lot. And I also really like her a lot. And so I go to her goddess hour every Thursday that I can. And they have a 20% off for everybody who comes to goddess hour, and it's Instagram Live. And I've since called them, of course, to order something. And I spoke with her associate, and they know me as sweetest Jermaine, because that is my Instagram account dedicated to Jermaine. Sweetest Jermaine, I started that in September of 23. It currently has over 1,400 followers. And I have a viral reel that has over 180,000 plays. And so they call, hello, sweetest Jermaine, because I told them I'm a fan of your father-in-law, basically, you know, and I said, you know, I had a crush on him in 1969 when I was 13, and I said, but I was very fickle, and I switched my crush to a boy in class. So they thought that was really funny. And I also say very, very nice things to them all the time. And I'm always complimenting them on their clothes, right? So that actually is in my PowerPoint,
Yeah.
my Asa Sultan. I have another essay coming up next week. It's 3/4 of the way done, but I am going to post it. It's called what the King of Pop can teach us about positive affirmation. Michael Jackson was a huge proponent of positive affirmation. And I'm doing in my other Instagram site called @Gina Petonito. I'm doing a series on positive affirmations right now. And my essay is going to be one of my first tie-ins of my essay to my writing. And one thing I forgot to say is giving Jermaine his flowers. My very first essay on Jermaine has over 1,000 people who have read it. 2,800 people who have seen it, and 1,000 people who have read it.
That's a good percentage. Do you know what I mean? Of people like opening it, and then I've read it, and yeah, I was like glued to it. I had to read the whole thing.
I have had 2 articles in top tier journals. Maybe I've had 40 something citations.
Yeah.
Not 1,000
that have read it fully. No.
Yeah, and so what I have here on my second to the last slide is one of the greatest joys I have in my life is the fact that my writing connects to all kinds of people. Basically, I've become the magazine writer that I've always wanted to become. And the lady who comes in to clean, she loves my writing. She loves it. She can't wait for the next one. She sends me the invoice, and I send her my latest writing thing, you know, as a copy to the invoice. And then I went to my 50th high school reunion, and people are coming and telling me that they read what I've written. And one of the people that didn't know about it, and again, this is just something that just is so meaningful to me. I don't think that she ever went to college, or if she went to college, she went to what we called business school back then, where you just basically learn how to be a secretary. And she said to me, I read 3 of your essays and one is more beautiful than the next. And I, I was so happy. I don't think that I've ever felt more happy about my writing than having her tell me, I'm going to cry. I'm so happy. Really, honestly, I am so happy that what I'm writing, all this work, all these years, honing my writing skills, getting my voice, because I have a very specific writing voice. I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm writing. I break all kinds of rules and I'm doing it intentionally in order to get across a certain mood to what it is I'm writing about. And my motherhood at 45, that was actually picked up by an influencer based in the UK. I got 330 followers to my business site in 2 days. And I got direct messages on Facebook, on Instagram from women all across the world telling me all kinds of things. I did 2 Instagram lives and I had women that came just to ask me questions about that particular essay. And essentially I was writing about the fact that, I got pregnant at 45 and I was surprised by it. And the other thing also is I am unashamedly and unabashedly a Muslim writer. And so I do not hide my Islam in my writing. And this was aimed specifically at a Muslim women audience. And these were the women who resonated with it. And they are writing to me about their own issues with infertility and, just this is so inspirational. A woman from India wrote to me, I'm 39 and I'm not married. I just don't know what I'm going to do. And what she's saying, because I'm a part of the Muslim community for 40 years now, what she's saying is not, I'm 39 and I can't find a man. No, that's not what she's saying. She's saying, I'm 39 and I want to have a child. And I can't have a child unless I'm married in this conservative community. And so the fact that I had my child at 45, it gave her hope that she could still have a child, right? Because there's these lies that we're told that we can't have children in our 40s. And in fact, women throughout the ages have had children in their 40s. I have a master's in gerontology and I worked with old people in my early 20s. And it was called the change of life baby. It was so common that they had a name for it. The change of life baby, the baby that you have in your 40s, that last one, So I'm connecting with people everywhere. Like my writing is connecting with people. My people are going to read about Jermaine because of what I wrote, or Jermaine himself has read it. Jermaine is an incredibly shy person. And so I can't imagine that he would reach out to me, but I still hold hope that one day I'm going to meet Jermaine.
At a breakfast buffet.
Yeah. And then, so we have, Michael coming up, and then this is a book of what she calls rituals, but a lot of the stuff that she teaches in here, Asa is a very successful entrepreneur. A lot of the stuff she teaches are the type of stuff that I learned in business coaching classes. So, morning rituals and how to start your day and all of that. So what I'm doing is I am following Asa Sultan's rituals for the next 30 days. And I have a journal and I'm writing in my journal. And there's going to be an article or a series of articles that I'm going to write about my 30 days of doing Asa's rituals. And of course, I'm going to send them to Asa, who knows me as sweetest Jermaine, as well as Gina. They know me as Gina too. So yeah. So who knows what doors these are going to open up? But I continue to move forward, and I still, I still have clients. I still have my business, coaching, whatever. But my final PowerPoint. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Luna, for having me. And I have a brand new course for free. And I'm going to put that down, when you direct me to wherever I can put the links are. It's called Jumpstarting Your Side Business. It's less than a half an hour. It's six modules, about four minutes each, and it's completely free, and it can get you started on your business. I just switched platforms, so this is my first launch of it. I've been working on it since December, but the platform was the problem. And anybody who wants to book a Calendly call with me, if you just say I was at Luna's Live, or I think you're going to do a recording, right?
Yeah.
Have you been recording?
Yes.
Yeah. Luna's recording, I'll give you 10% off on any of my writing services. You have a master's thesis, a PhD, an academic article, or you have a kid that wants to write the Common App. I can do it all, guys. It's been my life since I've been 12 years old. So I had a dream, and my dream started when I was 12, and I'm living my dream now that I'm 68. So there we go.
So nice. I love it. And I love that you've just
any
followed
questions?
it. Yeah. I mean, if anybody has any questions, but the fact that you've followed your dream and it's opened up doors in Instagram, that you've had all of these followers and people messaging you and saying, this is really given me inspiration and given me hope.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
incredible. And it can,
Yeah.
listening to those voices could also lead to potential like business ideas, right? Because part of it is listening to your audience and seeing what they need, right? And it's kind of what you were talking about, the SWOT analysis. It's looking at those opportunities that come up when you're already living in your strengths, right? Because the opportunities and threats, I just did this yesterday in my business meeting, is external,
Yeah.
right? And the strengths and weaknesses are internal. And
Right.
there's so many things coming up. Hopefully, you have a better government coming up. I wish for you. Like we had a slightly better government in our last election. So all of that then leads to all these kind of like opportunities, right? But also
Right.
hopefully not a lot of threats. And in that way, you can think about like, oh, my strengths would fit within that opportunity. And I feel like
Right.
that's what you've kind of gone into is like, the influencers that you've connected with and people that you can then work alongside and find all this new community. And yeah, I feel like that's a big strength of yours.
Yes, and think about people saying what you wrote was so inspirational versus reviewer too, right? You know, and about opportunity, I just want to tell you, I just did a little video series on it. I created this. I am a successful author. I am a successful writer, and I did this as like a little positive affirmation hack. And then what came across my email was a 5-day writing challenge. And see, what happens is, once you start thinking like this, you start thinking in your power, right? Your mind is seeking opportunities. And I said, a 5-day writing challenge. I just got through talking about this positive affirmation. So I joined it. I wrote for 2 hours every day for 5 days. And that was how I got Love Eternal finally done. And I have another essay called Non-Parallel Lives, which is a piece of creative nonfiction that I repackaged as an autoethnography that I submitted to an academic journal. And I was procrastinating on that too, but I got that done during that writing session. And once you program your mind, the opportunities start appearing. Whereas, if you're still in, academic hell, the opportunities never showed to me. I wish that I knew about this, decades ago, about business coaching and writing coaching and things like that. I wish I knew about it. It took me, to have my position terminated to learn. So
Yeah, same with me. I was like, I think I want to leave for many, many years. Didn't look
yeah.
into it for real. And then It was when the whole redundancy thing went, kaput. And I was then on this list of people who could be, are no longer needed, which was ridiculous because we were bringing in more money and more students
Yeah.
and they had just
Yeah.
hired somebody. So, yeah, but it definitely put like a fire under my ass to be like, what can I
Yeah.
actually do?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I think this has been great, and I loved hearing all the stories. I love like hearing the way that you tell stories, and I feel like there's many more stories that are going to be told, and I'm so excited for all of them.
Yeah, I have been a storyteller all my life. Underneath my yearbook picture, it's incessant storyteller. So I'm always telling stories. Yeah.
The other thing is that I just bought this graphic novel called Wake, and it's about a woman who's a historian, and she goes from the U.S. to England to find out about the slavery history of the British Empire and whether there were any women on any ships who were the catalyst for revolts that happened on slave ships. And
Wow.
the story then is about her writing her dissertation, which can be like, most people would probably find that boring, but it's done in a graphic novel where you see her go up to people and ask questions, and then it's interspersed with stories of what happened on ships. And now I'm just thinking of you being in a graphic novel where you're telling nurses about your story. And so I think, I don't know, if I know anybody who does graphic novels, like I feel like this is something that would be really interesting. An autoethnography about you, but like graphic novel comic book form.
Yeah, yeah, that would be interesting.
But I also,
Yeah, or me meeting the Jackson Five, which resulted in endless stories. I would tell everybody, people at the bank. I mean, people in the supermarket, people at Lowe's. I would tell everybody about it. Yeah, so it was pretty amazing.
thank you so much, Gina, for this conversation. It's been incredible.
Yeah, and you're welcome, and also thank you again, Luna, for having me.
Absolutely. I feel like, in terms of the academic misfits, this is a great place to start because I feel like this is what it can show you, that even when you were in academia, there were these little things that you were doing that were quite out of the ordinary or out of like the typical sociologist way of doing conferences. But what it then
Yeah,
opened up was, I want to speak to more than just this audience. And
that's right. Yeah,
amazing. Thank you so much.
yeah.